U.T. Rothy presiding.
Please be seated. Please silence all cell phones and the conversation must cease. We'll call the court to order at this time. My name is Matt Rothy. I'm the municipal judge for Stoughton Court. And Stoughton Court comprises the city of Stoughton, towns of Dunkirk, Pleasant Springs, and Rutland. I'd like to go through some of the procedures we follow in our courtroom. These procedures should have been available to you in the pamphlet as you enter the courtroom. We're here for pleas tonight. We take people on a first-come, first-served basis. When your case is called, please come forward. You'll be asked to enter a plea of guilty, no contest, or not guilty. If you enter a no contest or guilty plea, I'll review the police report, and if there's a factual basis for that, I'll find you guilty and impose an appropriate forfeiture. A plea of no contest is similar to a guilty plea, but a conviction arising from a no contest plea cannot be used against you in a subsequent citation. Let me explain that. Say if you're involved in a traffic citation or traffic accident, you receive a citation. If you enter a no contest plea to that citation, that person can't use that no contest plea later if they try and sue you then for damages caused by the car accident. The forfeiture ranges from $20 to $1,000. However, almost all are within the $50 to $200 range. The state mandates I add cost to your forfeiture. For example, a $50 forfeiture results in a total cost of $124. Various fees get added to the total price. I will grant you 30 days to pay the fine. If you need additional time, please let me know. I have limited options to collect, so the only basically I can intercept your taxes. I can send your, I can suspend your driver's license. I can intercept or send your fine amount to collections. I'd rather not do that. If you need additional time, just please let me know and we can work out a payment arrangement. If you enter a not guilty plea, we'll schedule the matter over to the next court session for a pretrial conference. That date will be February 14th, at which time both you and the city will meet to see if you're able to resolve the citation. Those of you here facing traffic offenses should understand that you cannot accumulate, you lose demerit points upon conviction of most such offenses. If you lose 12 or more demerit points within a single year, you lose your license to drive in Wisconsin for a certain period of time. You will also be fined. I'd like you to be aware of some of your rights before entering a plea. You have a right to ask for a continuance. This means that you can ask that your case be set over to another initial appearance night, either to consult with a lawyer or for some other reason. This is a civil court. You're not entitled to a public defender, but you may hire an attorney at your own cost. You also have a right to a trial. Please remember your rights when considering your plea. Those of you charged with operating a motor vehicle while under the influence are entitled to request a jury trial in circuit court upon proper payment of fees. All their cases will be heard before me with the right to appeal my ruling to the circuit court. That concludes my opening remarks. At this time, we'll begin to call cases. And sir, in the second row, if you could remove your hat, please. Thank you. Lowell Kittleson. If you want to approach to the podium. Mr. Kittleson, do I have your correct address?
901 Eisenhower Road, Stoughton.
Yes, that's exactly what I have, so thank you. You're cited for deviation from a designated lane. That citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and 4 demerit points issued your driver's license. Do you understand what deviation from a designated lane is?
Pardon?
Do you understand what deviation from a designated lane is?
Yeah.
All right.
I know why too. We had a minor stroke.
Okay. So I can't hear too much. I don't want to hear any evidence. Tonight we're just here for pleas. So you have any questions for the court?
No.
All right. Now's the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty. If you want to contest the points or the fine amounts, what I would suggest, if this kind of goes to the audience, enter a not guilty plea. But if you want to just here to kind of state your case, you can enter whatever plea you'd like.
No contest.
You understand with a no contest plea, I must find you guilty?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. Let me read the police report. I want to make sure there's a factual basis for your plea. Okay, I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea, accept your no contest plea, and find you guilty. Is there anything you'd like to say before I decide a sentence?
Not really.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me okay, sir?
Barely.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I'll have to speak up. So, you meant to enter a no contest plea, correct? Okay, and I found you guilty. Is there anything you'd like to say before I decide on a sentence?
That you found out why.
Hmm?
That you found out why.
Yeah. Why?
He had a minor
I had
stroke,
a minor stroke that caused that.
took away his peripheral. We didn't know it.
Okay,
It was like 2 days before the accident, but we found out
okay.
afterwards.
Hey, are you getting treatment now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Both
okay.
barrels.
Okay, okay, well, good, good. All right, well, let me review the range of the forfeiture. Is this your first citation in a while, sir? Is this your is this your first citation in a while, sir?
First time I've ever been in court in my life.
Oh,
But you've had tickets.
Tickets, yeah.
all right, let me review the statute number then. Okay, sir, the minimum forfeiture on this is actually $20. You're at $30 plus cost, so I'm going to reduce your forfeiture to the minimum since it's your first time in court ever. So it's not going to save you a whole lot, but it'll be $86.20 instead of $98.80. Is that acceptable?
All right, thank you.
Does that affect his points?
Yes, it will actually be 4 points, is what it was.
And it'll still be 4
It'll
points?
still be 4 points, correct. I can't really amend the points at all. If you want to do that, you have to enter a not guilty plea for that, so, okay. Mr. Kittleson, how much time do you need to pay for the $86.20?
Right now, it'd be good.
Okay, I'll give you a judgment of conviction. You can take that downstairs to the dispatch window and just go ahead and make the payment on that right away then. I'll give you 30 days. That way we'll give you time to process it, but we do accept payments right away downstairs.
Okay,
Any other questions?
nope,
All right, that'll take care of it for this evening then.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Douglas Alger? How do you say it? Alger, okay. All right, he's not working. Mr. Alger, do I have your correct address in Sawyer Road in Stoughton?
Yes, sir.
All right, you've been cited for a non-registration of auto. This citation carries a penalty of $98.80. I will note for the record that you received that December 16th. Did you update the registration of your vehicle?
Yes, sir.
When did you do that?
It was about a week or so after. I had to wait till I got
Okay,
paid.
do you want to give that to the bailiff? Thank you. Okay, I'll note that let me make sure that the vehicle is the same. And it is. I'll note for the record that you updated it, and now you're good through September 12th, 2018. Since you went ahead and updated the registration, court on its own motion will move to dismiss the citation then.
Okay.
So
No,
that will dismissed, you won't owe any money, and that will take care of it then.
Thank
you. Gregory Shanaman? Yes, sir. All right. Get your police report. Is it Shanaman?
Yes, sir, Shaneman.
Shaneman, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Shaneman, do I have your correct address on Clancy Lane in Stoughton?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You were cited for automobile following too closely. This citation carries a penalty of 3 demerit points and $124. Do you understand what automobile following too closely is?
Yes, sir.
All right. You understand that the points are 3 for this citation?
Yes, I do.
And the forfeiture range on this, let me review that with you. You're at $50 plus costs. For auto following too closely, forfeiture range is from $30 to $300. So you're a little bit on the low end, but the bond amount is $50. Understand that as well?
Yes, sir.
Any questions you have for the court?
If I plead not guilty, what are the circumstances if I'm found guilty after I plead not guilty?
Okay, what happens is that if you enter a not guilty plea, we'll set the matter for a pretrial conference on February 14th. The chance for you to meet with the city and bring whatever witnesses or documents might help your case. And then you and the city attorney try and resolve the citation. If it is, they'll tell me that it's a plea agreement, considered a no contest plea at that point. If it's not able to be resolved, it's actually scheduled for a trial then.
Okay. A
Is that-
trial like this?
What's that?
A
A trial, no, a trial is where the prosecutor sits there, you sit there, and you both present evidence to me, and I weigh the evidence, and the city has a burden of clear and satisfactory evidence at which they would have to prove their case.
All right. I got an excellent driving record, so I'm a little upset about the points.
Okay, so what I would do, if you're worried about the points, I can't really amend the points other than I can give 10-mile-an-hour leeway on speeding. It's something I've worked out with the prosecutor, and for expired registration, if they update it right away, I can do that. But if you're worried about the points, what I would suggest is enter a not guilty plea.
That clears after a year, though, correct?
You get your points back. People always will ask, what's the effect on the insurance? And it varies by insurance company and circumstances. I've asked many insurance agents that very question, and I can always get the it depends answer, so.
Do you know what it depends on?
Yeah, I know. I mean, the baby's severity, age, all sorts of things is what they tell me.
I don't have issues with driving too much. I guess I'll plead no contest to this.
Okay. You understand, though, that with a no contest plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes, I do.
All right. Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. All right, on the roundabouts. Okay. Okay. I have read the police report. I do find a factual basis to accept your no contest plea and find you guilty. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on the sentence?
Yes, sir. As I was coming into the roundabout, a lady had slowed down for a car coming at us. The car went by. She stayed there at the roundabout. I hit my brakes and hit a icy patch and just slid into her. The wheels didn't make a sound. My ABS went off. And
Okay.
it was just a kind of a freak situation.
And I've reviewed the record, and it is, your driving record briefly, and it is clear. So I think I'll find that based upon your testimony, or not testimony, your statements here, and that your clear driving record, I'll give you the minimum forfeiture, which would be $98.80. Down from 124. I know 50 to 30 doesn't sound like much, but that's the minimum that I can give. Do you need time to pay the $98.80?
30 days should be fine, sir.
Okay, I'll give you a notice in just a minute, which will say that you have 30 days to pay. Make sure that you pay, because if you don't, all I can do is then suspend your driver's license or intercept your taxes or send it to collections. I'd rather not do that,
Correct.
so.
So the points still remain?
It's remain
right.
at 3, so. Any questions?
No, sir.
That'll take care of it this evening, and thank you. Dustin Mares? I'm usually pretty good with names, but I'm stumbling.
That's a weird one.
Mares, right?
Merits.
Merits,
Yeah.
Merits. Mr. Merits, do I have your correct address at Van Buren Street?
Yep.
All right. You received a citation for operating while revoked as a forfeiture action. The citation carries a penalty of $124 and 3 demerit points issued your driver's license. You see the forfeiture range on this is $0 to $1,000. So all over, that's a wide range, but you're at $50 plus cost. You're just kind of on the low end of that. Do you understand what operating while revoked is? All right, you understand that?
Yes.
Yes, okay. You understand 3 demerit points and $124 as well?
Yes.
Any questions for the court?
No.
Now's the time I take your plea. Guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
No contest.
You understand with no contest plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes.
All right. You haven't been able to update your license at all?
I have an occupational. It was actually after my hours. I have a newborn.
Okay.
And I needed to get her to the hospital. She had this wonderful flu that's going around.
Okay.
Which is why
Are you sure you don't want to enter a not guilty plea to maybe discuss this with the city attorney?
I mean, I don't know that it's really gonna, I can, I guess. I don't know.
It's up to you.
If it, I don't.
I can't
feel
mess with the
to-
points
Yeah,
or-
I would rather just
Okay.
get it handled and move on.
All right. Let me review the police, I'll take your no contest plea, let me review the police report to make sure it has a factual basis. Okay. I have reviewed the police report, I did find a factual basis for your plea, accept your no contest plea and find you guilty. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on the sentence?
No, like I just said, that's the reason I was doing it.
All right. $124 is pretty standard. I'm going to leave it at that. How much time do you need to pay?
At least 60 days. Like I said, I got a newborn, so money is extremely tight.
How about I give you 90 days?
That'd be great. I'd appreciate that very much.
90 days is insufficient. There will be a number on the form you can call. What will happen is if you go beyond the 90 days, you'll have to ask for more time in a hearing type setting. It's at 6 o'clock, and it'll be just usually the prosecutor and myself and a few people in the audience who won't be packed like this. But make sure that if you don't pay within 90 days, you call and make an appointment as to why.
Definitely. Okay,
All right.
thank you.
With no further questions, I'll take care of it this evening then. Thank you.
Yep.
Amber Nguyen?
Hello.
Good evening, Ms. Nguyen. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Ms. Nguyen, do I have your correct address at Jackson Street in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right. You received a citation for improper passing a stopped school bus. This citation carries a penalty of 3 points and $250. Do you understand what improper passing a stopped school bus is?
Yes.
All right, you understand that the forfeiture is 3 points and $250?
Yes.
Forfeiture range on this is as follows. I
Yes.
always like to give people the range so they have an idea what
Yeah,
what
I
it is.
initially stopped because there was no flashing.
Well, hang on, you can't really tell me. $30 to $300. If there's a factual dispute, what I would suggest is that you enter a not guilty plea. That way you can discuss the matter with the city attorney. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah, not guilty.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Because all I did was receive.
Hang on, I can't hear anything. The reason why I can't hear anything is that the prosecutor's not here. So if it's
Oh.
called an ex parte contact, which is Latin
Okay.
for contact by only one party. If I hear too much, I have to recuse myself.
Oh,
So you have to go to another courtroom to have it. So I didn't really hear what you were saying.
Not
Other than,
guilty.
I think I might have heard that there was about, something about lights, but that's a common answer, so
Mm-hmm.
I won't be prejudiced by that. So, not guilty plea, so we'll schedule the matter for February 14th. Pretrial conference will be downstairs.
Okay.
When you come into the building, it'll be through the second set of doors. There'll be a conference room on your left, and there will be a sign on it that says pretrial conference. I would advise on your way out of the door, go take a look at where it is. That way you know where to go in 2 weeks. Make sure that you appear, because if you don't appear, I'll find you in default, and I'll find you guilty, and I'll impose the penalties I listed earlier.
Okay.
Any questions for the court? Okay, the bailiff is going to give you the pretrial conference notice. Once you receive that, that will take care of it for this evening. Lucio Perez? Mr. Perez, do I have your correct address at Hoover Street in Oregon?
Yes.
All right. You received a citation for operating a motor vehicle while under the influence and operating a motor vehicle with a prohibited alcohol concentration. Do you understand what operating a motor vehicle with a prohibited alcohol concentration is?
Yes.
And you understand what operating a motor vehicle while under the influence is?
Yes.
Okay. Now, there's several penalties involved, and let me list them out individually. For the operating while under the influence, it's a $150 to $300 penalty, but you have to pay a $355 assessment. So you're facing a forfeiture of $861. However, the forfeiture range on this usually is between $700 and $1,000. It's also 6 points issued your driver's license. If you're found guilty, I have to order that you attend an alcohol and drug assessment class and follow-up treatment as well. And your driver's license, if you're found guilty, will be revoked between 6 and 9 months. Now, the 6 to 9 months, I base that upon your alcohol content and bad driving. Generally speaking, if you're a 1.5 or lower, it's 6 months. If you're 1.5 to 1.9, it's 7. If you're 0.2 or higher, it's 8. And then if there's bad driving, I add an extra month. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. In addition, if in Wisconsin, if you you can have one if you received a prior OWI more than 10 years ago. This is still considered your first offense. And in addition to that, if it's considered, but if it's really your second within a lifetime, or if you had a blood alcohol content of 1.5 or higher, I must order an interlock ignition device be installed on all vehicles registered in your name for a period of 12 months. Do you know what an IID is, what I call it, an interlock ignition device is?
Yes.
Okay, that's the machine where you have to blow into the car for the car to start. And for the 12-month period, I would also mandate that if that were to happen, I have to surcharge you $50 as well. Okay, do you understand all those penalties?
Yes.
All right, any questions regarding any of them?
No.
All right. Now, you also have it operating with a prohibited alcohol concentration. Do you understand what that is?
Yes.
It's basically .08 or higher. The penalties are the same. $861, 6 points, alcohol and drug assessment class, 6 to 9 months. And if you're IID, if you had a blood alcohol content of 1.5 or higher, it's a 12-month IID period with $50 surcharge. Understand all that as well?
Yes.
Okay. However, I can find you guilty of both citations, but I only impose one set of penalties. So all those listed out, they don't double. That's basically what you're facing. Like, for instance, a 6 to 9 month driver's license, that will be it. I can't 6 to 9 months and then another 6 to 9 months one. The reason why they did that is they want to make sure that these citations, you have to be 2 of them essentially for the same conviction. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. I've thrown a lot of information at you. Any questions for me? Okay. Now is the time I take your plea. Your 3 plea options are guilty, no contest, or not guilty.
Guilty.
Okay. You understand with a guilty plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes.
Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. All right, I have read the police report. I do find a factual basis for your guilty plea, and I'll find you guilty. I'll make the finding that your blood alcohol content was a .2, which is over the legal limit of .08, and above the 0.15 for an IID. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on a sentence?
Nothing.
Okay. I will make the findings that since you're, I will order that you have an interlock ignition device be installed on all vehicles registered in your name for a 12-month period. I'll surcharge you $50 for that. I will find the $861 forfeiture to be appropriate. You'll be ordered to attend an alcohol and drug assessment. 6 points will be your license. The blood alcohol content was a .2. I'll note that it was a little bit above that for the intoximeter. But there were some weaving in the lane. You did cross the center line, but you weren't completely on oncoming lane. So because of that, I won't find any bad driving, but I will impose an 8-month driver's license revocation based upon your high blood alcohol content then. All right. If you want to step forward, I've got some assessment information to review with you. This is the court-ordered assessment that we have to do. There's a number on here that you're to call within 72 hours. This is, you have to complete a driver safety plan, and this is the first step by calling and setting up the appointment. So if you want to go ahead and review that and sign where it says defendant. There's 2 of them. You sign one and I sign. You keep one and I keep one. An assessment, yeah. Usually. Get an occupational license. So when you get before you get an occupational license, you have to go to I think their information is in here. Here's the in-lock ignition device. Make sure, make sure. Okay, so here's occupational license, in-lock ignition device, and then judgment of conviction. Oh, how much time do you need to pay? Okay, I'll give you 30 days. Here's that as well. Okay. Any questions? All right, that'll take care of it this evening. Thank you. Cindy Scholl? Is it Skoll or Scholl?
Joel.
Okay, good. Better, getting better tonight. Ms. Scholl, do I have your correct address on Gregg Trail in Stoughton?
Correct.
All right. A few citations here. First one is for a hit-and-run unattended vehicle. That citation carries a penalty of $187 and 6 points. Do you understand what hit-and-run unattended vehicle is? Is that yes? Okay.
Yes,
We're
sorry.
creating a record, so if I make a
Sorry.
mistake, yeah, I just need people to answer out loud.
No, it was,
Hang on, you don't need to explain.
okay.
I just want to make sure that you're aware of what the citations are for. And for this citation, 6 points, and then the forfeiture range on this is $0 to $200. You're at $100 plus costs. The second citation is for failure of operator to notify police of an accident. That also carries a penalty of 6 points, forfeiture of $313. Forfeiture range on that is $200 to $500, so you're at the minimum forfeiture on that. Do you understand what failure of operator to notify police of an accident is?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And then the third one is operating motor vehicle without insurance. That citation carries a penalty of $124 and 0 points. And the forfeiture range on that is 0 to, let's see, 0 to $500. You're at $50 plus cost. Do you understand all these citations against you?
Yes.
I'll note that I noticed the point accumulations is 12, so if you enter, if you're found guilty tonight, your license will have accumulated 12 points and you'll be suspended. So, and I can't really do anything about the points, so my suggestion would be to enter a not guilty plea to have the opportunity to discuss these citations with the prosecutor.
So you want me to plead not guilty?
Yes, because otherwise, unless you want to have your license suspended tonight. No.
No.
Okay. We'll go ahead and enter a not guilty plea to these 3 citations. What will happen is that we'll schedule a pretrial conference for February 14th. I'll give you the notice in just a second. Make sure that you appear, because if you don't appear, the prosecutor will tell me you didn't appear. I'll find you default and I'll find you guilty. And I'll impose all those penalties, and your driver's license will get
I
suspended.
understand.
Make sure that you know where the room is. The room is downstairs, first floor, through the second set of doors on the conference
I know
room on
where
your
it
left. And then the last thing will be chance to tell your side of the story, so bring whatever witnesses or documents might help your case then.
Okay.
Any questions?
No.
All right. Once the forms are printed off, the bailiff will give those to you, and that will take care of it for this evening then.
All right, thank you.
Peyton Spildy. Ms. Spildy, do I have your correct address in Duncan Road in Stoughton?
Yep.
All right. You received a citation for speeding on a city highway 11 to 15 miles an hour over the limit.
Yep.
That citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and 4 demerit points issued to your driver's license. You're at the minimum. The forfeiture range on this is $30 to $300. You're at $30 plus cost. You're at the minimum for that. Do you understand what speeding on a city highway is?
Yep.
All right. Do you have do you have a probationary license?
Can you check on that?
Are you under 19?
Yes.
Then you would have a probationary license. The reason why I ask is that people that have a probationary license, if they receive a second or subsequent citation, the point totals double. Is this your second, this is your first?
Yep.
All right. So if you were to receive one after this, your point totals will double. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, it's my policy that I give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway. So instead of 11 to 15 over, this would be 1 to 10 over. That would be 3 points instead of 4, same forfeiture of $98.80. You understand that?
Yep.
All right. Any questions for the court?
Nope.
And I would have this as speeding, City Highway 1 to 10 miles an hour over. What's your plea?
No contest.
You understand with no contest plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes.
Let me read the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. Okay. I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis, accept your no contest plea and find you guilty of speeding 1 to 10 miles an hour over the limit for 3 points. Anything else that you'd like to say?
Yes.
Yes.
First off, I want to say I'm sorry. I was volunteering to pick up my brothers from ski club,
And I was driving my mom's vehicle and unaware of how fast I was going.
Okay.
So, yeah.
That's why I give a 10-mile leeway. Everybody makes mistakes. So you're at 3 points, which is the minimum for moving violation. Minimum forfeiture, $98.80. How much time do you need to pay that?
30 days.
I'll give you 30 days to pay that. And just so you are, just be careful that you're a probationary license and your point totals will
Yeah.
double from now on.
Yep.
So, okay. With that, I don't have anything else, and that will take care of it for this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bailey Astle? Did I say that correctly? Yes. All right. Mr. Astle, do I have your correct address in Van Buren Street in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right, you have 2 citations. One is for inattentive driving. That citation carries a penalty of $111.40 and 4 demerit points issued to your driver's license. Do you understand what inattentive driving is?
Yes.
Forfeiture range on the inattentive driving is $20 to $400. You're at $40 plus costs. You're kind of at the low end. Your second citation is operating a motor vehicle without insurance. That citation carries a penalty of $124 and 0 demerit points. You're holding up a sheet.
Yep.
Okay. The city prosecutor likes to look at these. Basically, there's some circumstances, so I can't just dismiss it if you have, but the prosecutor might be able to. So if you want to contest that and the other one, what I would suggest is enter a not guilty plea. Is that what you want to do?
Yes, not
All right.
guilty.
We'll enter a not guilty plea to both citations. We'll schedule this matter for pretrial conference on February 14th. The pretrial conference, chance to tell your side of the story, so bring that document and whatever documents might help your case. Also, downstairs, across from the dispatch, or through the second set of doors on your left, make sure that you appear, because if you don't appear, I'll find you default and I'll find you guilty then. Both those forfeitures. The bailiff will give you the notices in just a minute, and that'll take care of it for this evening then. Thank you. Deborah Cassio? Did I say that correctly?
Cassio, correct?
Yeah, Cassio. Ms. Cassio, do I have a correct address in Quam Drive in Stoughton?
Yes, sir.
All right. You've received a citation for operating a vehicle without registration lamps. This citation carries a penalty of $73.60 and 0 points issued to your driver's license. Do you understand what operating vehicle without registration lamps is?
Yes, sir.
I understand the penalties as well, $73.60.
Yes, sir.
Let me check the forfeiture range on this. It's an equipment violation, so forfeitures are usually lower. 4713. Forfeiture range on this is that right? Oh, no, tail lamp violations. If this is your first violations, it's $10 to $20. Okay. All right, do you have any question, or do you understand all that I've done, the forfeiture and the points? Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Any questions for me?
I guess I did not even know that I had lights on my license plate.
Okay, have you gotten that fixed?
Absolutely. I went down, I
Right.
bought them. I got the owner's manual. I did it myself, took care of it. I even get my oil changed where they check my lights. I had
Okay.
no idea they were there.
Oh, so the lights have been fixed then?
Absolutely.
Right, all right, and that's what those are for, that, you brought those to me to say that you've installed them, and that's
There-
correct?
And it's all, now I know there are 2 little lights above my license plate. I
Okay.
was not aware of that.
Okay, so now we're aware of that. What year car was it?
2008 Subaru, but I've been driving for 50 years.
And I'll note for the record that you have a clear driver's license.
I was,
Based upon what you told me today, I'm going to go ahead and dismiss the citation then.
thank you, sir. I was hoping for education, not even a warning, but
Okay.
that's why I came.
Okay. Yeah, just tell everybody what happened with the license plates, but a lot of times with equipment violations, if people fix it, that usually is a result of dismissal. But let people know that there are 2 lights and license plate, and they need to
Now I know,
update that
sir,
as
and
well.
I know how to change them.
All right. I'll give you a report just indicating that it's been dismissed then, so.
Thank you, sir.
And with that, will take care of it. Thank you, Ms. Casio. Rosalind Smith? Ms. Smith, do I have your correct address at Maywood Street in Madison?
Yes.
Okay. See, you received a citation for operating motor vehicle without insurance. That citation carries a penalty of $124 and 0 points. Do you understand what operating, I know that you got, if you've updated it,
I had insurance, I just didn't have the card on me.
okay. Here's what I'll do. And you came down from Madison for this?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to enter a not guilty plea for both. We'll schedule the matter for pretrial conference on February 14th. There is a number that on the pretrial conference, and the prosecutor allowed it because I don't like to have people make 2 drives there if they're not from the area. And Madison, it can be, depending on traffic, can take a while as well. So what I can do is that there'll be a trial. The prosecutor has to run a conflict of interest check. So in other words, if they've represented you or your family before, so you can't go down and talk to them right away. But what I would suggest is that if you want to come down for the February 14th pretrial conference date, great. But there's also a number to call if you want to get a hold of the prosecutor in advance as well.
I'm a little confused because I was told to bring the paperwork with my policy number showing that I have.
Right, but with expired insurance, the prosecutor wants, sometimes they'll dismiss
It
it.
wasn't
sometimes they won't.
expired, I just didn't have proof.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, I have to run it through a pretrial conference first. So you have to meet with the prosecutor in order, because I can't dismiss it, I can't amend it, this particular citation.
Somebody else just had the same thing. No proof of insurance.
Let me see.
That's all it is the proof of the insurance. Wasn't expired, nothing like that.
All right. I think that was for expired registration, though.
No, I don't have expired registration.
No,
either.
that's why I dismissed it. I dismissed the registration citation, not insurance then. Oh. Make sure that, it's a little different citation, it's a different circumstances. The prosecutor's giving me permission, I can't usually amend from the bench. They're giving me permission to amend registration citations, but not insurance. There was another insurance, I had them enter a not guilty plea. Unfortunately, I have to enter a not guilty plea. We'll schedule the matter for pretrial conference on February 14th. Bring that proof of insurance. I'm sure the prosecutor will want to see that then. Yeah, thank you. Deborah D. Johnson Peabody. Ms. Peabody, do I have your correct address on Henry Street in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right. You received a citation for non-registration auto. That citation carries a penalty of $98.80, 0 points that issued your driver's license. Do you understand what non-registration of auto is?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Now, for the record, the previous person had expired insurance or no proof of insurance. That's different from expired registration. Expired registration means you haven't updated the plates. Normally what happens is people don't realize that they have their registration expired, then they'll go register it within a week and then provide me proof. If you want to show the bailiff to that, that's the difference. No proof of insurance means that you don't have any insurance on the car.
That's dumb.
All right. I'll find that you updated the registration. You did it right away after you got stopped, is that correct? Or within a
Yeah.
week?
If I'd known, It's the catch-22. If I'd realized there was a problem, I'd have fixed the problem and there wouldn't have been a problem.
Right,
I don't know what happened to the card.
okay.
It's one of those no-brainers. You get it in the mail, you write a check, you put them in an envelope, you ship them out.
And you
put on the
the
stickers.
Yeah, and you put, okay,
It doesn't go on the check-it list.
right. So since you provided me proof, I'm going to go ahead and dismiss the citation then. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That'll take care of this for this evening then. Oh, you want the receipt, ma'am? That might help.
Thank you very much. Oh, and I'm sorry about that. I always wear one. I don't even. We caught it early.
Stephanie Larson? Ms. Larson, do I have your correct address on Highway 138 in Stoughton?
Yes,
All right. You've received a citation for speeding on a city highway 11 to 15 miles an hour over the limit. Do you understand what speeding on a city highway is?
yes,
And you understand 11 to 15 as well? All right. Is that a yes?
yes. I'm
The
sorry.
citation carries a penalty of $98.80 and Florida merit points issued to your driver's license. However, I always give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway for these. Instead of 11 to 15, what I would do is that I would amend this from the bench to 1 to 9 miles an hour over the limit. That would be 3 points instead of 4. Okay?
Thank you.
Any questions for the court?
No,
Okay. To the citation, amended citation of 1 to 10 miles an hour over the limit, what is your plea?
no contest.
You understand with no contest plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes,
Let me review the police report. I want to make sure there's a factual basis for your plea. I have reviewed the police report. I do find a factual basis to accept your no contest plea. Find you guilty of 1 to 10 miles an hour over the limit. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on a sentence?
I have lived at my location for 20 years. And anyway, I know to slow down coming into town. Utilities was, anyway, at Main Street and Van Buren. And I was sitting there thinking, what are they doing? They're always there at that location. Lights in my rearview mirror. I'm thinking, oh, they're catching a criminal. So I pull over and it's me. Anyway, I apologize.
That's okay. There's just been some complaints with speeding and things.
That's what she said.
If they don't enforce the traffic, people get faster and faster. So you're already at the minimum $98.80. So I'll assign that or apply that forfeiture. How much time do you need to pay?
I'll pay it today.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll give you 30 days just in case, but I'll give you the form. We have a dispatch window downstairs. You can just take the forfeiture to the dispatch window and make the payment then. Any questions for me? All right, once you receive this from the bailiff, that will take care of it then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Hensel? Mr. Hensel, do I have your correct address at Jackson Street in Stoughton?
Yes, sir.
All right. You received a citation for possession of drug paraphernalia. That citation is the listed forfeiture amount is $187. It's actually $250. What happens is this was considered a second offense. Okay. Do you understand that you're facing now forfeiture of $250?
Yes.
Forfeiture on this is $50 and $1,000. $250 is about $170 plus costs. Do you understand what possession of drug paraphernalia is?
Yes.
All right. Let's see. Any questions for the court?
No.
All right. Now's the time I take your plea. Guilty, no contest, or not guilty?
Guilty.
Okay. You understand with a guilty plea, I must find you guilty?
Yes.
All right. Review the police report. I want to make sure I have a factual basis for your plea. I have read the police report. I do find a factual basis for your plea, accept your no contest plea and find you guilty. Anything you'd like to say before I decide on a sentence?
No.
Okay. I do find a $250 forfeiture would be appropriate in this case. It's a municipal citation, but find that there was, but you were honest with the police officer, but they had some other items of the car. But all things given, I think that the $250 is fair. How much time do you need to pay?
90 days.
Okay, I'll give you 90 days. Again, if you need any additional time to pay, there's a number on the form. Call that number and set up a hearing date. And that way you can ask for more time. I usually don't have a problem with it, and usually the prosecutor doesn't either, but I'd like to see if you could pay it within 90 days then. Okay. Any questions to the court?
No.
All right, that will take care of it this evening then. Melinda Offerdahl? Ms. Offerdahl, do I have your correct address in Fallon Street in Stoughton?
Yes.
All right. If you see the citation for speeding on a city highway, 11 to 50 miles an hour over the limit. Do you understand what speeding on a city highway, 11 to 15 miles an hour over the limit is?
Yes.
All right. Your forfeiture is $98.80 and 4 demerit points issued to your driver's license. Forfeiture range on this is $30 to $300. Okay. You probably heard my policy, but I'll reiterate it. I always give a 10-mile-an-hour leeway for speeding. For this citation, I'd be willing to amend it to 1 to 10 over the limit. You understand that? All right. Any questions for the court?
Actually, this is my 3rd ticket recently for 4 points, so I will have 12 points.
Okay. This will be 3. The others were 4?
Oh, okay, yeah.
When were your other 2? Actually, I can check.
More during the summer.
Well, what you could do is
They weren't in Stoughton, though.
Okay. Were they out of state?
No.
Okay, I have one on June 1st.
Yeah.
Intermediate, which is 4 points. One in August, which was 4 points. Points. So you're down to 4 points. So if I amend this to 3 over, you have 1 point left. In addition to the 1 point, you can actually take a point reduction class, and you can get 3 points back as well. I'll note that beginning on June, the 4-point ticket will drop off, then August, the other one will drop off.
Okay.
But you are at risk, because if you get one more citation, then...
Yeah, I don't want to risk that, so.
All right. So
Should I talk
did that clear things up?
I think so.
All right. So, do the amendments...
Oh, sorry, I didn't know if I should talk to the attorney or not.
Well, she's right there. If you want to enter a not guilty plea, she can always do that, so...
Okay.
It's up to you whether you want to enter a no contest plea or not guilty. You know, if you're in doubt, I always say if you're in doubt, you should enter a not guilty plea.
Yeah.
Just a chance to
Yeah.
clear things up, so.
That.
We'll enter a not guilty plea. Schedule the matter for a pretrial conference on February 14th. And I'll give you that notice in just a minute. Pretrial conference, a chance to tell your side of the story, supporting whether witnesses or documents might help your case. Make sure that you appear, because if you don't appear, I'll find you. Ms. Wilson will tell me that you didn't appear. I'll find you guilty, and I'll find you default, and then I'll find you guilty, pose those forfeitures. And that will be a 4-point. So if you get a 4-point, you lose your license will get suspended. And then I always want to make sure that people know where the pretrial conference is. It's downstairs through the second set of doors, conference room on your left.
Okay.
Is the sign still up for pretrial conference?
Yes.
I
Okay.
think so, yeah.
You can go out and take a look at the sign then. That way you know where it is.
Okay.
All right. Any questions for me?
No.
All right. Once you receive the notice from the bailiff, that will take care of it for this evening then. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Evening, Ms. Wilson.
Good evening, Your Honor. Hi, Mary.
Pretrial conference, sure. You can approach. All right, I approved all your pretrial conferences, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll have some here.
One gentleman, he owes about 1,400 and he should be appearing on.
Okay, we'll give him a few minutes.
Set up a payment plan.
Okay.
These two did KLTA.
Yay. What would happen if I actually contacted them? Hey, how they doing?
This gentleman had a pretrial scheduled. He called and has changed his mind, wants to plead guilty, and is going to be setting up a payment plan.
Okay.
Agreed.
Okay. You didn't want to do the assessment? Is it for marijuana? Oh, well.
He's in Texas,
Mm.
so he's handling some other
Issues,
matters,
okay.
No, this is actually regarding two people, but being represented by the same attorney. Holly, Attorney Wilson has already approved this.
Okay.
It's just.
Sure. Oh, yeah. I wonder why he didn't show up.
He's in Florida.
Okay.
Anyway.
Oh. Oh, okay.
She just wants a confirmed copy, so if you approve that, if you could sign it.
We'll set it for pretrial conference. Oh, I see. Where's the other one? Okay, thank you.
And it's just this gentleman.
Is that Mr. Borman?
Judge, when you recuse yourself, do you have a usual court that it gets sent to? How does that work?
We'll inform what we do for when I recuse myself, we inform the district, and they usually reassign it then,
So it's not just like you go to Oregon or whatever?
No.
Okay.
Normally, they'll try and pick the closest court. I always figured my recuse cases are either going to be in McFarland or Oregon then,
Okay.
so.
Oregon knows us.
Yeah. Was that the one where, I think one of them, she blurted out something or said something, so I think that was the case. Or was this the one where they told me to, over the phone?
What was that one?
Susan Schuster.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she called me today and was really, she asked me about the recusal process, and I just was like, well, I
Yeah.
never asked.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, normally I'll say just, and did that go out? She called me directly, which I think already would have poisoned me, but then she told me to F off on the phone, so I thought, I can't hear this case, so, no.
she was a lawyer, or is a lawyer.
Is she?
I don't remember.
I think I'm getting it mixed up with somebody else, though.
It's the same.
It's the
one.
same woman.
Right, okay. Yeah, I know, I did, that's not the one, it's not the former one I was thinking of, then, so. Okay, we have one person who wanted to appear and just work out a payment plan. So he's due to appear at 6. I'll give him 6 more minutes.
Okay.
Normally I'll just set these up, but he has such a large balance.
Okay.
This was set up in October, so I'm not sure.
Okay. How much did he offer to pay per month? I mean, a small amount, okay.
Don't have all the details on here. Should have written that down. Because usually I'll say, well, then do you want to claim indigence and set that for the hearing, but it didn't come up, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, it's okay. All right, we might as well start defaulting the rest of these then. We'll go ahead and default the rest of them if that's okay.
It's okay with me.
All right. Jasmine Alexander, default judgment. Ethan Birdsill, default judgment. I'm sorry?
Alan.
Oh, thank you.
Still,
Oh, yeah, the TPS threw me off. Joshua Allen, default judgment on both. Ethan Birdsill, default judgment. Tommy Brand is a default judgment on both. Zachary Brashy is a default judgment. Angela Brigham is a default judgment. Kelly Brooks is a default judgment on all 3 citations. Skylar Buckham is a default judgment. Oh, there was one I dismissed tonight. She had defective tail lamps for $73. She said she fixed them. She brought in the little pieces, so.
Oh, good.
So, there are a few of them. Some other one, the registration ones I'll dismiss, but the one on insurance, I know that sometimes you want to look at that. So one, I had her at the pretrial conference on the no insurance.
Yeah, I like to make sure the VINs match up.
Yeah, and it was $124. And sometimes they'll do that if they come in from Milwaukee, I'll match up the VINs if they bring it to me. But do you want, well, I still think with no insurance of vehicle, if it's $124, I think that they still should have a pretrial conference with that, because I want to make sure that you will have more time to gather the circumstances than I
There's
will.
a $10, it's kind of like.
Yeah, if it's 10, I might consider it, but if it's 124, something was going on then,
Okay.
so. Scott Cook is a default judgment. Demarion Davis is a default judgment on both. Catherine Dinwiddie is a default judgment on all 3. Jeffrey Driver is a default judgment. Taylor Dry is a default judgment. Diane Eichel-Kraut is a bond forfeiture. David Flickinger is a default judgment. Jason Germain is a default judgment. Karen Griffin is a default judgment. Haley Hedren is a default judgment on both. Haley Hobbins is a default judgment on a citation for $691. All right. Antonio Hodges is a default judgment on both. Julie Hoff is a default judgment.
That was supposed to be taken off.
Oh, this one?
It's rescheduled.
Oh,
Sorry.
Julie Hoff's been rescheduled. Jessica Haneke is a default judgment. On both citations, or 3 citations, excuse me. Daryl Johnson, default judgment on both. Krishna Keogh is a default judgment. Erlene Colleen is a bond forfeiture. Cody King is a default judgment on both. Jaden Klowitter is a default judgment. Benjamin Croggy Suter is a default judgment. There's a failure to yield on one of these. I'm looking for it. Thaddeus Lennar is a default judgment. Crystal Lind is a default judgment. Terrell Lofton is a default judgment. Tyler Loving is a default judgment on both. Brandon Lundenberg is a default judgment. Diane Martinson is a bond forfeiture. Tommy McLean is a default judgment. Jonathan Miller is a default judgment on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Megan Munoz is a bond forfeiture. Matthew Myron is a bond forfeiture. This is a failure to yield a right-of-way. He'll probably be required to take a class. I'm going to meet with, I don't know what to do with these failure to yield, where they have to take a class. there's, on the listserv, there's some judges that wanted to make it thought they might make it a mandatory appearance. Others just kind of amended as needed. I don't think I'm gonna do that, and I don't see we don't see a whole lot of failure to yield,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of considering what I'm gonna do with those,
Okay.
so. Yeah, did you see the act, was it 105?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, just makes it kind of snuck by everybody, I think. Daniel Nortwin is a default judgment. Jace Olson is a default judgment. Johnny On is a bond forfeiture. Damian Orton is a bond forfeiture. Brandon Osman is a bond forfeiture on the proof of insurance and a default on the operating after suspension. Lori Parisi is a default judgment. Darvell Peoples is a default judgment on both citations. Kira Phillip is a default judgment. Lindsay Pruitt is a default judgment. Abigail Randall is a default judgment. Daniel Scherfel is a default judgment. Eric Schuck is a default judgment. Gabrielle Shoemaker is a default judgment. Brian Smith is a default judgment. Michelle Smith is a default judgment on both. Natasha Stankovic is a default judgment on both. Kevin Swan is a default judgment. Jaden Tybert is a default judgment on, 8 citations. Timothy, by the way, if they show up with multiple, I highly encourage them usually to enter a not guilty plea. They're like explaining, well, what can you, I'm like, no, I can't, so they understand that.
3 separate steps.
Oh, wow. Three, 6, 9. 9 points is all. Timothy Thompson is a default judgment on both. Kevin Vo is a default judgment. Richard Wasley is a default judgment. Aiden Weaver is a default judgment. Nicholas Whittisell Baker is a default judgment, all 3 citations. Griffin Willard is a default judgment. Ethan Williams is a default judgment. Dawn Wills is a default judgment. Amanda Joy, yeah. Oh. Restitution.
I guess everything was recovered.
Okay, no restitution ordered at this time. Amanda Joy Jo Woods is a default judgment. Jordan Yates is a default judgment. That concludes initials. I'll note for the record at 6:12, Ruben Borman had scheduled an appointment, or was he directed to appear? He's directed to appear and he did not. Is he overdue?
January 24th. Operating with a controlled substance. I gave you that report of his citations.
Yes. Okay, so these are old. They're finding dates.
Actually, those are all in April. Yeah,
Has he made any payments?
April. No.
All right, send it to collections then.
Well, it has to be 90 days.
Okay,
past due.
send him the warning then. Anything else from the city?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Anything else, Mary? All right, thank you, everybody. Court's
Thank you.
adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.